Good morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. We're taking the interview outside today, at least on Justin's side. I have the privilege of bringing this author of three books, Justin C. Uh, uh, Hart, and he's going to be sharing with us some things about him. Thank you so much for coming, Justin.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be here.
Where are you at right now? What city and state are you in right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Metro Atlanta, good old Georgia.
Oh yeah, yeah. I tell people the Atlanta traffic and my wait is very common. Uh, no matter what I do, I can't get off of 285. It's just
Uh,
that's just the way that's the way it is. What a mess that is. I lived in the Atlanta area for 9 years, and that is just
yeah,
a nightmare driving that.
you know all about it then, huh?
Yeah, but it's a great city, and God's moving there, just like He's moving everywhere. Speaking of
Sir.
God moving, Justin, tell us, what do you do and why do you do it?
Wow. Well, as you know, Andy, those two questions are extremely loaded, extremely loaded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill you in with what I do and why I do it. All right. So I'm going to do my best because I do a lot. I do a lot. But I'm gonna let you know why I do it. All right. So first things first, I have about 5 jobs. Um, and if we count being a husband and a father as a job, that would make it 7. All right. So depending on how much I can share today, I'll let you know definitely 5 out of the 7, if not all 7. But I am an author. Thank you for the introduction. I've been writing books recreationally since I was maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, as far back as I can remember, so having a gift of just wanting to put words onto paper, it's never left me. It's never left me. And as a youth, you never really see yourself 10, 15, 20 years from that day. But I tell you what, me being 3 books in has been a blessing. And I have many more books that have been stored inside my heart that I've already started, that I just, of course, need to finish. And we're talking, I could probably easily be in the teens within the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years. Like, that's how many books God has placed on the inside of me. So that's one of my jobs, as being an author. Another one is I'm an author coach. All right. So being an author coach means that you really got to be somewhat educated to be able to teach people, coach people, advise people on the do's and the do nots of the book industry. Because as you know, with you coming up with your upcoming book, congratulations, by the way. Uh, Book writing, it's an industry, so it's good to know the industry, how it works, and how to best succeed in it. So my very first book was called Liquid Sunshine. Liquid Sunshine, by God's grace, hit #1 inspirational bestseller in 2009 on Amazon. I ended up passing Joel Osteen, come on, and Joyce Meyer to get to that #1 spot in '09. Now, I read their books, so for me to even be clustered with them is an honor. It's a true honor. And since then, in '09, my book has done very well. It's a testimony of what a season of my life looked like back in college. I was able to fictionalize it. And to this day, it's still impacting a lot of lives, a lot of lives. And I'm very happy about it, very pleased. My second book is called Life, Love, and God. Life, Love, and God is a poetry book. Now, the goal is to keep writing poetry. I was able to get maybe like 10 years worth of material and put it into a first volume. And my wife and I are on the front cover of that first volume. So now that me and my wife have been married about 11 years, and we have 3 kids, the goal is for the next volume is to show my wife and I, along with our 3 kids, on the next front cover, and then, of course, when volume 3 comes out, maybe another decade from now, it'll be my wife and I, and then our 3 kids. But of course, our 3 kids won't look the same. They're going to be, well into their teens, if not early 20s by that point. So it's just life, love, and God. It's just that those 3 words and just showing how life changes, and of course tying it to poetry. I have a poet's heart. I have an old soul, so it's good for me to be able to tap into those and put it on words. Another thing that I do is I'm a DJ. I love music. So of course you have, the writing side, you have the teaching side, you have the music side. So there's arts all up in me. There really is arts all up in me. So I love being a DJ here in Metro Atlanta. Number four is I am a public speaker. I enjoy inspirational speaking, motivational speaking. I get a chance to speak at a lot of different youth and young adult uh, and adult I guess events, organizations, you name it. I get a chance to I guess talk to talk to those that need it. There's a lot of people that need different things. So I'm grateful to be on any kind of panels. Uh yeah. So what's that? Was it am I on number four? Am I on number four?
Or
That. Yes, and then my main job. Let me tell you about my main job. What I went to school for. I went to college and I graduated from Norfolk State University in Virginia. Shout out to the 757. I am in the architecture field, so I am helping folks, I guess, live in nice homes. So I work for Rockland Homes. I'll give Rockland a shout out. Thank you, Rockland, for me being on board for so many years. And I enjoy what I do. So I have a passion for drawing also. And that was also inside of me as a youth. I used to love to draw. So it's no coincidence that I'm still drawing as an adult now. I loved music as a child, and it did something to me being able to listen to really good music growing up. So here I am as an old soul, and I still have a passion for music. So it's I find it amazing that what we've experienced in our youth still has a big impact on us as an adults. And when we tap into our gifts from our youth and we can recognize them, it really doesn't go away as the years go on. And I know you had mentioned earlier off record, about the passion and how passion becomes purpose. Well, I'll tell you what, whenever I got baptized at 21, I was age 21, and I remember being baptized and I asked the Lord, what is my purpose? And him I remember clear as day him speaking to me, and I'm so glad that I heard it. But I remember him saying, Justin, I need you, I need you to stick to your major. I need you to keep me first in everything you do. And I need you to live out your dreams. I was like, wow, I heard those three things so clear. Now, mind you, at the time, a lot of dreams was tied to my gifts, whether it was music, whether it was writing, whether it was speaking. So I had a lot of dreams at the time at 21, but that was the same time I was graduating from college. And I was like, stick to my field of study. I was like, okay, well, that's like residential. That's like construction, that's architecture. I was like, okay. But then he said something so unique about keeping him first in everything that I did. And I'm so glad that I heard those three things, because even when the market of residential had tanked back in 2008, 2009, and I was laid off 3 times in 2 years, I was like, I don't want to go back into the residential industry. I got laid off 3 times in the last 2 years. Who wants to go back into that? I don't want to get laid off again. So of course I stepped out. I was taking different jobs, but I felt so uncomfortable taking customer service jobs and this job and that job. So whenever the market picked back up in 2014, I was able to get right back in with the same company, and they had revamped their name. And yeah, I was there, and I've been there for 9 years now with Rockland. And let me tell you, I feel so fulfilled being able to be in line with what I went to school for. And not a lot of people stick to their field of what they went to school for, mind you. But I'm one of the few. I'm one of the few that has a full-time job. I have several different jobs that I find that I'm pretty successful at. And I love being a husband and I love being a father, which are two more jobs that I haven't tapped into yet. But let me tell you, the reason why I do the five, it's to number one, let my light shine and to give God his glory,
Yeah.
because my whole testimony goes back to my youth, and it stems with everything that God has produced through me and the lifestyle I live today. You know, my wife and I, we waited until we got married to engage in sex. So we were abstinent. Me personally, I was abstinent for nearly 7 years because I dedicated my life to the Lord. And I'm so glad that even that happened, you know? So just my life being a testimony, you know, whenever you call yourself a disciple, that's different than being a believer. You know, a believer kind of, their faith tends to go high and low, high and low, high and low, depending on answered prayers. But a disciple taps into this thing called trust. And whenever you trust in the Lord, man, that's a steady life to live, because even though our faith might go like this and it has waves and highs and lows, oh, my prayers didn't get answered, so my faith is down. Oh, my prayers got answered, now my faith is up. Well, trust is like a flat line. It's like a flat line. So if your trust in the Lord is high, no matter how low your faith goes, it can only go as low as where your trust is. So if my trust in the Lord is high, my faith in the Lord can't go any lower than where my trust is. So my trust is pretty high in the Lord. So whenever my answers don't get prayed, or whenever my prayers don't get answered, let me say, there's still very much of a fulfillment of thank you, Lord, for what you're doing in my life. I understand if my prayers didn't get answered today or tomorrow or the next day, I still put my trust in you.
Yeah.
You know, I still put my trust in you.
Well, I see this day and age we're living in, there's a lot of people with fear, and the fear of tomorrow and fear of the economy and fear of this and fear of that. And I've learned through the years that fear is a direct correlation often to our lack of trust in God. If we keep that level of trust, it really keeps our fear way down. Not that we won't fear, but you have to get back to that. Do I really, really trust in God that he's going to take care of us?
Yeah, yeah. It's an amazing thing. It really is. And that's why we write books. So we write books so we can tap into deeper things, deeper subject matters. We can explore them, put it down on paper, ask the Lord to reveal, you know, his understanding on it. And then, of course, we can share that same information with the masses. Whether the masses might be just our circle, our inner circle, our outer circle, or the entire world. We might get people that are from the other side of the world buying our copies, reading our books, and it's just God's grace, you know. But our
Yeah.
goal is just to be obedient and to finish what we've started.
Well, once that book goes out, uh, and I've had some authors tell me this too, the power of the book is that it goes out and you never know where that copy, all those copies are going to go. And one day that copy of that book could be sitting in a thrift store somewhere, and somebody buys that book and it brings new life to them, even though it was discarded and gave away. God can even redeem that book over and over and over again.
Wow, so true, so true. And let me and before it slips my mind, book number three recently came out within the last year or so, but it's my first kids book, and it's called The Three Little Pigs Learn About Money. I had no intention of writing a kids book, but since I have three kids of my own, you know, you find
Yeah.
yourself, you know, tapping into the next generation. But no, feel free. Whoever watches this, check out www.pigslearnaboutmoney.com. It's a whole platform. We've gotten the pigs animated, but it's all about teaching them money and just financial basics. But it's been doing very well. It's been
Good.
doing very well. So there's a book that's tied to it. There's online content. There's animated lessons. There's challenges. The whole thing is just one big God vision and it's going to be a long vision, because you already know whenever you talk about money, here we are as adults, and it's a daily conversation. It's a
Yeah.
daily conversation about currency and money and how to invest and how to save, how to give, how to spend it. So yeah, I definitely wanted to share that.
Um, we're going to put down below the links. We've going to be putting some of these books right into the interview that you're seeing right now. Maybe they're popping on the screen right now, even as I speak. But you'll see these books, the websites, ways to get a hold of the product and information that God has given Justin, and he's put that to pass on to the next generation. So please look that up, follow him, and the best is yet to come. Like he said, he's got stuff in his head that's not on paper yet. In the next few years, who knows how God's going to use that as well. Take the time also, not only find out what Justin's doing, but take the time right now, as soon as this interview is over, and lift up Justin in prayer. I say this all the time. He needs your prayer, and you need to practice, folks. You need to pray. So pray for him and all the things that he does, that God would continue to richly bless him and give him favor. So if you'll do that, as you pray for him, God will bless him, and he will bless you for praying. Any closing thoughts that you have today, Justin?
My closing thoughts would just be, it's tied to my future book, and I want to share this with the people. Whenever it comes to decision making, always use a little faith and use a little wisdom. I think one of the greatest things that we can do whenever it comes to big decisions, is that there has to be a portion of faith. And there has to be a portion of wisdom. So I know we can't go deep in it, but Andy, I tell you what, maybe off the record, me and you can talk.
I'd love
But
to.
but yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I want to leave with the people.
I got a feeling I'm going to have you come back sometime and talk about that next book in the future as well. And we'd love to have you do that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Justin.
Blessings.
All right. Thank you for joining us for Morning Moments. And I'd like to ask you to keep on coming back, and may God richly bless you.